Good morning. Just want to quickly uh, go over some clarifications. Someone mentioned that a certain person that I'm giving some guidance to thought that my giving her the label of prophet, that she was thinking that it was a compliment and brought her tears of joy, and that by that he or that person took it to mean that she was taken as a compliment. Uh, that's a misunderstanding. As what she was actually saying, that finally she received clarification on all the confusion going on in her spirit of whether she was an empath, whether she was a clairvoyant, uh, and settled it down to just being one person that has all those abilities, and it clarified so much for herself, which made her happy. Nothing to do with the compliment. Uh, Being labeled or being designated as a prophet is not a compliment. It is just a designation. I mean, who would read all the stories of all the prophets and wake up one morning and tell their parents, you know what, mom, dad, I think that I've decided I'm going to be a prophet? Who would choose to be a prophet? People don't choose to be prophets, they are chosen. Um, if you read the lives of all the prophets, who would want it? Really? Um, uh, uh, Another thing is that prophets can only say what God tells them to say. A true prophet of God can only say what God uh, uh, tells them to say in the spirit. Now, God tells them this in the spirit, and because God's spirit is so complex, prophets can only base what comes out of their mouth on their own understanding, um, their own what's the word, experiences at the time that they make these statements. Um, so uh, all of us, we can only interpret what God tells us and what we know. So if a prophet is young still in their prophets in their prophetic life, uh, they still have a lot to be shown. So maybe some of their statements will be misconstrued as being um, less than holy, which is untrue. They're just basing their comments on what they know of life at that point, and God still has to show them much more. Um, and because they can only base what they say on their level of understanding, um, there's no reason to criticize them. Yeah, people are going to disagree. People are going to do whatever anyway. Uh, but I wholly support this person, and even though I do offer guidance on some things, I believe wholly that she's um, pretty much on track. She's pretty much understands a lot of things, and there's just certain things that there is some misleading being done, and that's to be expected. Any prophet, any saint, Satan is going to attack them continuously, intensely, because he does not want that to happen. Satan does not want a prophet of God in the world, doesn't want a saint of God in the world. He wants his own people. Um, and to her point, uh, I agree that obedience is not a criteria for God. Kindness and mercy and love are the criteria for God. Uh, God can accept you whether you disobey Him or not. Look at King David. Um, Look at so many of them. Look at Peter, Saint Peter. Disobedience is not a criteria for God condemning you. Trust me, it is not. Um, so, and to her point, that the gods of this world, and there are many gods, but there's only one true God. But there are many gods. And Satan is the God of this earth. And if you don't believe me, read the Bible and see where Jesus says it. So this earth belongs to Satan in all his aspects at this point. So um, people really need to consider how judgmental or how much they're judging someone because of their own emotional pain. Um, we should support each other. And if we think somebody is saying something in error, just voice your opinion, voice your concern, voice what you feel. And it's up to them to accept it or not accept it. You can only offer your guidance up to the point of what you think you know. And they will base their acceptance or refusal of that information based on their level of understanding at the time you mention it. And just because they choose to not accept it at one point doesn't mean they will not accept it later on. Uh, we go through life where everything's conditional. So many people accept things wholly, completely. Some people accept a point of view conditionally, and some people reject that out of hand. So just accept that that is the condition of human life. You're always going to have that situation, and it's hard for anyone to have the two extremes, to be wholly acceptable of something and wholly what's the word? Wholly declining to accept it, wholly just out of hand, rejecting something. Those two extremes are very rare. Usually, people are in the middle. They accept things conditionally until they get to the point where someone proves to them that it is something that is holy, that needs to be accepted wholly. And again, that's with a lot of teaching, a lot of knowledge, a lot of communing with God. So, um, so that's all I have for right now. Y'all have a good day. God bless you. Bye bye.